This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. The stories, theories, and claims presented are based on publicly available sources, eyewitness accounts, and whistleblower testimony. We do not claim all content to be factual. Viewers are encouraged to do their own research and form their own opinions. Viewer discretion is advised. In the early hours of February 25, 1942, the city of Los Angeles was gripped by terror. Just months after the attack on Pearl Harbor, tensions along the U.S. West Coast were at a breaking point. For months, the people of California had been bracing for an invasion from Japan. Military leaders believed it was only a matter of time before the Japanese attacked the U.S. mainland, and the people of LA were especially vulnerable, as the city was home to many Japanese Americans. As a result, when the alarm sounded at 2:25 a.m. on February, waking thousands of residents from their sleep, they knew that this was it. Air raid sirens wailed as searchlights cut through the darkness, revealing an ominous sight above the city. Anti-aircraft guns roared into action, unleashing a barrage of more than 1,400 shells. The sky was illuminated by the explosions, each one bringing with it the hope that they had caught the enemy. But what exactly were they firing at? Eyewitnesses reported seeing strange lights moving silently above the city. Some described large metallic shapes hovering in place, seemingly unaffected by the intense barrage of gunfire. Others spoke of strange formations of these flying objects, making movements that defied explanation. The lack of sound was especially unnerving, with many witnesses claiming that not even the buzz of an engine could be heard. The objects just seemed to glide through the air, leaving behind a trail of sparkling lights. People watched in disbelief as the objects moved in eerie unison, as if under the control of a single will. Then, just as suddenly as they had appeared, they vanished into the pre-dawn darkness. But the mystery didn't end there. In the aftermath of the barrage, people began to discover the extent of the damage. Buildings were scarred with gaping holes. Cars were crumpled and twisted, and several civilians lay dead in the street. None of them had been killed by enemy fire. Instead, the casualties were caused by falling shrapnel and debris, as well as heart attacks brought on by the sheer terror of the night. For many, this was the first time they had ever seen such destruction wrought by modern warfare, and it was enough to send even the most level-headed citizens into a panic. In the days following the attack, rumors began to spread like wildfire. What exactly had the military been firing at? Were the strange objects enemy aircraft? Had an invasion force actually landed? Or was this just another false alarm, a product of overactive imaginations and wartime jitters? The military was quick to offer an explanation. Officials claimed that the incident was likely caused by a combination of weather balloons and nerves on edge. They suggested that the sightings were nothing more than ordinary balloons, perhaps mixed up with some Chinese lanterns released by celebrants of the upcoming Chinese New Year. The anti-aircraft fire, they said, was a natural response, given the heightened state of alert in a city full of reporters and photographers. Soon, the story made national headlines, with the media buzzing about the supposed threat of Japanese invasion. It seemed plausible enough. Just another bizarre chapter in the bizarre saga of World War II, but for many, it just didn't add up. If it was a false alarm, why did the military fire so many rounds? And if it was just a balloon, why did it move so erratically and resist the barrage of gunfire? Some witnesses claimed that the object was smoking and sparks were seen coming from its underside, suggesting that it was not a simple rubber balloon. It showed 5 searchlights converging on a mysterious object in the sky, seemingly confirming the eyewitness accounts of a bizarre airborne spectacle. Was it a secret Japanese balloon sent to gather intelligence on the city's defenses? Did the Japanese actually manage to infiltrate the city with a small group of spies? Or could it have been an American blimp that strayed too close to the restricted airspace? Perhaps the most intriguing possibility is that the incident was caused by an extraterrestrial craft. After all, the alleged UFO sightings along the West Coast were widespread in the years leading up to World War II. Could this have been one of the first encounters with alien life? The truth remains hidden behind official denials and classified reports. In the aftermath of the chaos, officials scrambled to offer explanations for what had occurred over Los Angeles that fateful night. The U.S. Army initially suggested that enemy planes had indeed been spotted, triggering the defensive response. But within hours, the narrative shifted. Military leaders, facing growing scrutiny from the press and public, claimed that no enemy aircraft had actually been present. Instead, they attributed the incident to a combination of weather balloons, nervous gun crews, and atmospheric conditions that created optical illusions. The massive anti-aircraft barrage, they said, was a tragic error fueled by fear and confusion. However, this explanation raised more questions than it answered. How could trained gunners and spotters have mistaken harmless balloons or shadows for an aerial armada? Why had so many civilians, police, and military witnesses reported seeing large solid objects moving deliberately through the sky? And what of the famous photograph showing searchlights converging on what appeared to be a structured, disc-shaped object? Newspapers and radio commentators at the time were skeptical. The Los Angeles Times ran headlines calling the incident the Great Air Raid Scare, but their editorial columns hinted at frustration with the official story. Citizens demanded answers, but the military provided few details. Thousands of Los Angeles residents watched and witnessed the Battle of Los Angeles unfold from rooftops, windows, and streets. What they saw varied, but many reported large, slow-moving objects that seemed impervious to the relentless barrage of gunfire. Some described oval or disc-shaped craft gliding silently above the city, while others claimed to see formations of multiple objects maneuvering in unison. Witnesses spoke of brilliant lights or faint glows coming from these shapes. Nothing like any known aircraft of the time. Civilian observers weren't the only ones puzzled. Police officers, air raid wardens, military personnel later gave statements suggesting they, too, saw solid objects that didn't behave like weather balloons or planes. One of the most chilling accounts came from gun crews, who said their shells seemed to explode harmlessly around the target, as if the objects were shielded by an invisible barrier. The barrage was so intense that falling shell fragments caused damage on the ground, resulting in several injuries and at least 5 deaths, not from enemy action, but from the defensive effort itself. For believers in the UFO theory, this image is seen as proof that something extraordinary was present over Los Angeles, something authorities couldn't identify or stop. For skeptics, it's just an overexposed photo capturing searchlights reflecting off smoke or clouds. Yet the consistency of so many witness reports keeps the mystery alive. Were they all mistaken? Or did Los Angeles truly host a confrontation with something beyond conventional understanding? Do you think they were UFOs? Leave your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember, don't look up.